The 2030 Agenda recognizes that there can be no sustainable development without peace and no peace without sustainable development.
It is only through honest dialogue that we will be able to understand the advancement for SDGs, but also any shortcoming.
Implementing SDG 16 is a fact of a multi-stakeholder engagement, and it takes obviously a broad mobilization and new ways of partnership. Inclusive and accountable governance drives social, economic and environmental transformations. It promotes sustainability and protects the most vulnerable.
We are falling behind on many of the goals, with significant divergences across populations and countries. At the same time, we see across the world and across stakeholders a willingness to take action.
Rooting sustainable development in a culture of justice and inclusion makes the world a fairer, safer place. And that is what is so transformative about this agenda.
What are the root causes of people being left behind? What are the structural issues that lead to people being left behind? What are the patterns of exclusion?
I think one of the problems that we have in Afghanistan, as our Attorney General mentioned, is lack of security in the country.
In Kenya, we have some arid areas, and you have people traveling for hundreds of miles to get to courts. We've come up with innovative ways of having mobile courts.
You have to have, I believe, strong civil society organizations that can help work with the poor, and you also have to have strong provisions, whether it's in the form of a constitution. It has to be a concept of fundamental rights not just to freedom, to vote, to civic association, but fundamental rights to a dignified life as human beings.
When we started off, we made the commitment for free education. It was just 3 months after we took office, and everybody said we could not do it. They said it's impossible. We didn't have one donor sponsoring us at that time, but we believed that we could do it, and we went ahead and commissioned it.
This is the key for everything. If there is a justice, there are going to be security, economic development, and political stability.
We need increased capacity building for implementation. We know that there are major capacity gaps, especially at the grassroots level, and we need to find a way to mobilize the necessary resources to meet these needs.
Institutions live only if people understand that they are there for them, and therefore it's very important that we work looking at people-centered solutions.
I decided to develop my own project on civic engagement for children and teenagers and youth, which basically develops initiatives with youth, that includes youth in the processes.
I think the forum is an opportunity for the SDG 16 plus community. The people in this room and many, many hundreds and thousands of other people who are working on these issues to come together and demonstrate a consensus, a strength of purpose.
I do believe that SDG number 16 is unique as an outcome and enabler of all goals, but also as the flag bearer for the principles that underpin not only the 2030 Agenda, but the rules-based international system as a whole.
The fact that we are enjoying, in this room at least, collective consensus is a sign that we can really achieve SDG goal 16.
SDG 16 is the truly universal SDG. It applies to every country developing with different challenges, of course.
SDG 16 represents a critical opportunity to advance youth empowerment by guaranteeing fundamentals freedom, ensuring accountability, and opening up discussion-making process to their participation.
We are working in rough terrain. The journey is going to be difficult, but it's an extremely important journey because the goal is very precious. Progress towards SDG 16 is indispensable to sustain the progress in realizing the entirety of the 2030 agenda.
For the very collaborative tone of the debate, believe me, it's a feature that not always applies to UN meetings in New York. In my humble opinion, all of the above qualifies our meeting as one of the best examples of what an expert meeting should be.